1, 2, 3.
Let the magic begin.
Hi, and welcome back to Let the Magic Begin. This is Season 2, Episode 5 of Behind the Magic. My name's Elise, and I'm your host. Today, I'm here with a brand new guest. Please introduce yourself and say hi to the people for me.
Hey, my name is Heidi Petterson, and I play Owl in Fantasy's upcoming production of Winnie the Pooh.
Alrighty, thank you so much for being here, Heidi. Mm-hmm. That was a beautiful introduction. So you are Owl in Winnie the Pooh, but you have also been with us for a few productions in the past. Mm-hmm. Namely, you were on, was it the costuming team? You were something for Christmas Carol.
Oh, heck no. No, I was in Christmas Carol. You do not want me on costumes.
Really? Okay, because I saw a post. You were creative something. It was a 2023 production of A Christmas Carol.
I think I was creative consultant. What you're thinking is when I did it for Snow.
Oh, Snow White.
And that was a very broad term to just say I'm going to help Stephen out because I was an intern with Stephen at the time.
Really?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Yeah. I was attending seminary and the degree program required an internship. And my background is in the performing arts, and I knew I didn't want to intern at a church because I really needed to gain more technical skill. Mm-hmm. And a friend of a friend told me about fantasy. I think my daughter had taken some classes when she was wee little, and said, you need to contact Karen Mockenstern because of her background as well as a mutual friend. And we met and we talked. And then when it came time for the actual internship, I submitted my resume and she introduced me to Stephen. And what was exciting was it was his first year at Fantasy.
Wow.
And so at the time, he did not let on that, you know, he was pretty freaked out with the whole new role. And I was just so happy that I could come beside him and help him in any way that I could. And I think that was the start of a very strong bond between us because I was a little clueless. He's coming in, got these huge job positions to fill, and I just did what I could to help him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you've come from where you started with Fantasy being behind the stage to being on stage with Fantasy. Is there like a lot of a difference between the experience with Fantasy on and off stage, or are you feeling like it's pretty much, it's all Fantasy spirit?
It is all Fantasy spirit. The through line is there. Anybody that gets involved in any way, and when I say meaningful way, I mean when you've actually spent some time, you know, maybe not just a one time, come in, help out one time and leave. Although there might be people who have stories where it was true for them, but just watching how everybody works and plays so well together, both on and off, it's hard to tell who's having more fun.
That is one of the great things about Fantasy is everybody's just having a blast the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's work, as you know. There's blood, sweat, and tears, but they're the happiest blood, sweat, and tears.
I mean, but what part of theater isn't, you know? It's just at least you get to do it with people you're having fun with. So you told us you are playing Owl, and we had a conversation the other night about how you do the owl-looking face scrunch, and you don't realize that you're doing it, but I think it's one of the cutest things ever. Are there any more similarities that you see between yourself and the character that you play on stage?
Well, yes. Owl is verbose, and I like to be verbose. It's actually something I am working on. The whole, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. I also like to use bigger words. I have some young ladies that I mentor in our youth program. And just a difference of vocabulary. There was one night, these are middle school girls, and the young lady said, Miss Heidi, I have no idea what you're saying. And it was only because of my vocabulary. So I think Owl and I share in that either strength or possible something to think about.
I mean, put in the right light, everything's a strength. But you speak of vocabulary, and that's one of the main, like, not the main tenets, but it's one of the subplots or storylines that go through this show of Owl trying to teach Pooh certain things. I'm not going to spoil too much. Is there something that you want audiences to walk away with after they've seen this show
This is a very special and sweet show. I feel like if you loved Mr. Rogers, you're going to love this show because everything is done with such warmth and care, and it's fun, but it's not crazy, zany, over-the-top theatrics. The strength is coming through how all the actors and adult and children are really committing to their characters and characters that care about each other, because these are all friends that live in, the 100 Acre Woods. And they are friends. And when I first was approaching Owl, I was thinking Owl was a little bit more snobbery or talking down to Pooh. But quickly, after thinking about it and discussing that with Amy, the director, we both agreed, no, Owl's just a little bit in her own world. But she's not trying to put anybody down. And so that changes the timbre of how I interact with Pooh. Particularly. And so I like that. I like that there's not this antagonism or somebody trying to be too smart for their pants at the cost of the relationship. Now, Owl can come off as being too smart for her pants, but she's doing it only what she thinks is the best for everybody.
She's doing it out of love.
Yes, exactly.
There's a caring tone to it.
Exactly.
You mentioned, we talked about being, this smaller cast. It's a little bit more, I would almost say more familial, more intimate. There's not big grand stages like how we've done before with Sleeping Beauty and the Big Green Pea, or even Christmas Carol. Is there more work, different work? How does it feel coming from a show like Christmas Carol to coming to something like Winnie the Pooh?
Christmas Carol is so different because it runs longer, if I am correct. I know when I did it, we had a ton of shows. I think we did 3 shows a day in some cases. And it was just very exhausting just because of that. But you did have those breaks where you're off stage. But Winnie the Pooh, we are all on stage the entire time. And even if you are not the central part of what's going on in the scene, you are still present. Maybe you are reacting, or maybe you're really not reacting in the side, but you are aware that you're on stage. So there's no real time to just check out. And that's a different kind of discipline.
Is there anything that you're taking, anything in specifics that you're taking from other shows or your previous theater training that apply heavily in this show?
Well, I have come to the point in my career, both as a creating content person and an artist, a philosophy that I try to do at all times. If I may, I'm going to read this quote because I should have it memorized, but I can't because it's really meaningful. So that's the idea is that we are creating a culture of belonging. And when I speak of belonging, and I don't know where this quote comes from. I have looked it up and I cannot find an author. I saw someone at the YMCA wearing this on their shirt. I'm like, this is amazing.
Sometimes things just speak to you.
I know, and I don't know who to give credit to, otherwise I would. But here's a definition of belonging that will answer your question. Belonging, the shared experience of co-created unity that grounds identity and transforms otherness into togetherness. And how I think about this and apply that in my work is it's very easy, I think, to just get on stage and perform for people, to quote unquote entertain. But the most meaningful experiences are when something actually happens between audience and performer, performer and performer. There's lots of research done on this as why it's such a special encounter, but it has to be done with care. And so rather than trying to think of, I need to assert myself into a situation, how do I create a sense of belonging, both in who I am as a person to interact with, to work with, but also in my characters. And that sense of trying to create a sense of belonging, as that definition is, that underscores everything that I do. Because what's the point if we're coming together and putting in all this time and energy just to go, well, that was fun, and shrug our shoulders and walk on? then that's not a failure, but we've missed a really good opportunity. And everyone has been in situations where they come out of something that was creative, that they were either participating in or part of. Because when you're the audience, you're definitely part of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And you feel different. And you feel, maybe you can't put it into words, you can't put your finger on it, but you know you're different than when you walked in.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that I do really like about working here with fantasy and working with all the different casts that come through is I see that in almost everything that happens in this building. I think one of the things, I've said this before in other episodes, and I'll keep saying it until I stop hosting these, is that one thing fantasy is really good at is pulling people together and creating that sense of belonging, but also going, we have this. Anybody could be a part of it, you know, whether it's the outreach programs, whether it was movies on the boulevard where we had like low cost movies for families to just have something to do that didn't cost $50 for a weekend, whether it's the cast where people who may not have even met are now becoming really close friends, or if it's, you know, the volunteers who one person is like, please don't ever give me a sewing needle, I'll cook, and then don't give me anything else, beating the people who are in the costuming department and becoming close friends. I do think that's one of the greatest strengths of fantasy is being able to pull people from all walks of life and put them under the theater roof. Because it's not just, you know, like you said, it's not just performing on the stage. It's the interactions with the audience. It's our guest services. It's our volunteers. It's our techies. It's, you know, the people who come in and are like, I just want to run curtains for one show. That's all I want to do. But there is a sense of responsibility in creating that sense of belonging that I think is a through line for almost everything fantasy does.
I agree. I mean, I've worked as an intern. I worked different parts of a show. I was stuck in that closet for a while just doing sound.
Oh, yeah.
But that was actually super meaningful. I've taught in the education department. I've volunteered, you know, outreach stuff. And I was having this conversation with a cast member yesterday, and I've said it before in other contexts. There is a secret sauce, and I think anybody associated with fantasy knows what I'm talking about. But the level of volunteerism, the commitment, the time, the energy, the caring, I have never seen it in any other organization. And I've done a lot of different things. And it is astounding. And it's almost as if it's like a potion. Something happens to you. You get involved in one thing, and now you're in. And good luck trying to.
Good luck trying to say no.
Yeah, you may take some time off, but people come back. They take time off. They got other things going on. And they're just as welcome when they come back as they were as if they never left. And it's genuine and it's sincere. And I honestly don't quite. It's the leadership, it's the community, it's the people who have started this and are still around. They've carried on that legacy, and I can only hope that when I lead organizations or lead groups that I have that same type of try to bring that secret sauce. I don't know. It's incredible.
It's one of the things that it's just mind-blowing. We speak about, you know, moments of inspiration and moments that you're like, wow, this is fantasy. Do you have anything that comes to mind when you think of just a moment where fantasy impacted you, where you're like, this changed me as a person, this changed the way I think about my art, my craft, or changed the way I move throughout the world?
Right. There's a story that just happened recently during rehearsals that I really wanted to share with everybody. And if I may, I'm going to backtrack a little bit in case anybody who's watching or listening has never been on stage and performing. You know, rehearsals are a really odd thing. They're strange. It's a strange process in the sense that you are trying to develop a character at the same time that you're learning blocking, that you're learning music, that you're learning choreography if it's a musical. And all this is happening while you are pretending that you have these relationships with people on stage, because your characters have relationships, but these could be people you've never worked with before. And I'm thinking in terms of the cast, I don't think I've ever been on stage with one person that I've been on stage with before. So there's all this going on. Meanwhile, crew is present, production staff is present, and you have those eyes on you, and you know that they only want the best of you if they're even paying attention. You know, the the ego thinks that everybody's watching them at all times, but it's not a natural place to be. And I think if you've only performed, or if you've only been on production side, you should take a chance on being on stage so you can refresh just like what a strange situation that is. And I'm a fairly seasoned performer. So what surprised me, there was two things. We have a group chat, and as one does when they are uncomfortable or maybe a little embarrassed, I had made a joke about my lack of memory. Probably I just needed that to just say it out loud. And I don't know why I didn't expect this, but one of the cast members, Michael Becker, who plays Pooh, so adorable, he just said, "Oh no, that was just a fluke, and we're going to be positive," if you see the name. And, when I made that post, I wasn't thinking I need affirmation. I just felt like I needed to address just how bad it was and let me poke a little fun at myself because that would make me feel more comfortable. And so not only did he just chime in there and offer that encouragement, immediately after that, Lauren Hester, who's on production staff, she says, "Oh, I have some things that I want to share." And she had listed out for every cast member her favorite moments of that person on stage and character that she had seen up to this point. And, that's funny because that's something I would do with my students when I had them. That's just a really mature move. And the fact that she was paying that kind of attention that early, I don't think anybody asked her to do that. So the moment became not just about a nice moment where someone lifted me up. It became a moment where I realized these people are really, really engaged. And for this young woman to pick up on the theme and to give a very specific comment to each person in the cast, that was amazing. Because when you get specific feedback like that, when you don't think somebody's watching you, and these are small things. It's not like, oh, you did great on your song, and people expect you to do great on your song. It's those small little things you're doing that you don't know if anybody else has seen. And I haven't had a chance to talk to the other cast members, but, shout out to Lauren for sure for taking the time and the care to do that, because that to me was like, oh my gosh, that's just a beautiful moment that I really want to share with everyone.
We've talked about things that you have pulled away from fantasy in general. Has there been any life lessons or new things that you've learned about yourself or the craft that you've learned from this production of Winnie the Pooh?
Yes. There's probably a lot I could say, but if I can just touch on one thing, do not discount our younger actors. There are quite a few adults in the show, but there's a lot of young people. These kids are on it. They know their stuff. They work hard. They are just as important on stage as any of us who, carry around the puppets and the main, quote unquote, main characters. They blow me away all the time.
And in this production, you have, 5 narrators? 6?
I think we have 5 at the most. This is bad. I could think of them all in a name. But then we also have, she would be considered a child in terms of Rue. Mm-hmm. Piglet is a teenager. We have teenagers, and of course you're going to have your fantasy junior. So teenagers on down to, I think she's 10. Mm-hmm.
But it's wonderful seeing recurring faces and faces that are so young, because I know Gavin has been a part of so many things here that I keep editing pictures and I'm like,
not that
I know
guy.
That face. I don't know who that is, but I know that face. And now I'm starting to be like, okay, I know that face. I know your sister and I know your mother. But it's really nice being able to see that we have productions where, it might just be one child in the cast, or you might have 2 people in the cast, or you turn around and the entire family's in the cast and you're like, how did that happen? But it's, again, that feeling of anybody can belong. And when you have a group of production or a company or a nonprofit where the message of anybody can do it is so strong, you start with the 5-year-old taking a singular class one semester and they go, actually, I want to be in the showcase. And then the next thing you go, you have somebody parental volunteering and they go, you know what? Since we're here,
oh yes,
might as well. And then next thing you know, the whole family's in Christmas Carol, and you're like, how did this happen?
I know. It's just, I'm telling you, it's just like the gateway drug or something. I have an interesting story about Gavin. I was teaching summer camps, like 3 summers ago, maybe 4 summers ago, and he was in my class.
Oh, wow.
And I was his very first teacher.
Wow.
And we had not circled back until very recently, like this summer. We kind of did this. Actually, I remembered him before he remembered me. Fine. I mean, obviously, come on. But then he's like, wait a minute. I remember you. And to think that I was his first teacher, and from then he went on to now be in showcases and now main stage shows. And I don't say that to pump myself up. It goes back to what I was saying before. You don't know what kind of influence you have. And then in this space, you really can influence others and have them affect you as well. I mean, gosh, where else do you find that? I mean, it's a bit rare.
But we're going back to the conversation of, making a beautiful mess, and there's, things that you try and things that can be new. If you had to be subbed in, things just hit a wall and we had to change the cast around for whatever reason, is there any character that you are going, I could totally step in here, or I'd love to step in here?
Well, I really thought I was a Tigger.
I
saw myself as Tigger. And now with Lex up there, now I can't get him out of my mind. But I didn't audition for Tigger, but I thought, oh, wow, that's me. I'm bouncy. But I think that bouncy part of me has really kind of subdued over time. I used to just rely on my energy rather than maybe skill in performing. So I think I'm the only one that saw me as Tigger.
I mean, honestly, I was talking about it with Matthew, who's one of the directors. I think he's an assistant director. I was like, I'm either, if you forced me to audition, it would either be Eeyore or Tigger, and that's only because I can kind of still cartwheel and round off. Not because I can do any sort of jumping, but because I could reliably cartwheel across that stage.
And so I
don't think I could do anything else.
That's such an unfair question now, just because I see everybody who they are in their characters, and they are fulfilling that role so wonderfully. It's impossible to divorce that and put myself in there. It's just, I can't.
All right. And just a little tidbit for the listeners before we round this off. Is there any scene that you are very excited for our audience to see, if not just the whole audience, the student audiences? Because I always say, if you're going to get a reaction, you're going to get the biggest and best one from your student matinees. Is there any scene where you're absolutely excited to see those reactions from?
I don't know how long the scene is, but when I was watching it in the mirror, because I could finally see what everybody was doing, it's the scene. You may have to cut this because I don't know if I want to. Spoiler alert.
We'll go back and forth.
Yeah.
We'll take some stuff out if we need to.
We're all trying to pull Pooh out. I won't say why or where he got stuck. But there's a whole trail of us, and it's the puppets. And if you know what I'm talking about, each puppet has found a unique way. It is so doggone cute.
I cannot. Okay, here's a little thing that we may not leave. We may leave in, we may out. That is one of the poses I really want you to put. So, listeners, you may see a promotional picture at some point in February of everybody posed like they're pulling on something. We don't know what. And that's this scene. But I cannot wait to see that in full costumes, hair, everything, the lights, because I do understand what you're talking about. And that is adorable.
I knew it was cute, but in the
show
room
overall is like one of the cutest things I have laid my eyes on.
Isn't it?
In a while. It's really like, I think there is a beautiful intersection of you're playing with a doll and this is a puppet. There is moments where I've seen Michael, who plays Pooh, kind of put Pooh down. Pooh is confused, so Pooh's head is down and his head is down, and then he'll look at Pooh and then look back out. And there's times where, you've been adjusting Owl and you're both sleepy, so you put like Owl down and you kind of lean over, and just those kind of moments where I think I brought up earlier, it truly does feel like the intersection of like children playing and like a full-on show.
I'm really glad that you're seeing that.
It feels like, I think the decisions of we're not gonna make full like traditional puppets. We're going to make things that feel like they could be played with, things that look like they could have popped right out of a child's playroom, things that like you could see that on somebody's bed. And you guys as actors managed to bring them to life in this most extraordinary way that I cannot wait for audiences to come see in February.
That's so cool that you're seeing it, because I said before, we're still got our scripts in our hands. So it's really fumbly bumbly up there. And some of, in certain scenes we put them down. But once we get more and more, because someone was asking me, how does that work? I said, like a big stuffed animal. And I said, sometimes we're acting through the stuffed animal. Sometimes we're the character. There's like this blend, but nothing's been pre-described except for maybe some choreography choices. And it's really been left up to the actor to decide at what point are they the same? Are they pulling away? And if it's seamless.
All right. And this is a personal question because I was introduced to you, funny backstory, as the lady who loves BTS.
Yes.
And that was before I could put your name, because I sometimes have issues with I know you, I've seen you, I've taken your pictures a million times, don't remember your name. But somebody introduced you at some point when you were playing the Moon and Space Monkeys as the lady who loves BTS is playing the Moon. And I went, huh? Who are we talking about? And so it was so funny because I think in the episode title that they say, you are wearing your brown sweatpants with the logo on. It was when you had those on that it clicked for me. I was like, that's where I've seen you before. So please tell me and our audience where that came from. And just give me the breakdown, the backstory on
how I became a BTS ARMY.
Yes.
Because ARMY is the term we use. For those who don't know, the fan base of BTS is called ARMY. This is, I think, a really cool story. So it was during the pandemic. And at the time, I think as many of us were, especially if you're an artist of any kind or enjoy the arts, it felt so dry and so not so much hopeless, but there's just nothing to get excited about. And I was having a conversation with someone and we're talking about bands. And I said, you know what? There is just nothing out there in music that really excites me. I remember being in college and spending the night outside to get tickets to U2. The band U2. Wow. And I got bronchitis. This is in Colorado in the winter.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
That's dedication.
That was. I mean, that's how excited I would get about music. And I thought, I don't even want to stand in line for an hour to see somebody like it. There's just nobody out there. And BTS had existed at this time. I probably had seen them on magazine covers, but I just didn't pay attention. And of all things, watching TV, they had on regular American TV, it was an ad for Samsung. And the song Butter was what they used in the commercial. And it just piqued my attention because it sounded so fun. And Butter is, I hate to say it because it's such a pop song, but Butter was my gateway drug. And I was looking at them, I'm like, this is so intriguing. I mean, their aesthetic, being Korean men, is totally different. I didn't know K-pop at all. And I did what everyone does when they become a K-pop stan, is I went down the rabbit hole.
Oh, absolutely.
So I clicked on to see Butter in the full video, and my mouth just dropped because I'm like, their aesthetic, their clothes, the way they dance, the way they look. I haven't seen anything like it. And it lit a fire in me that had been dead for years in an artistic sense. And I had no idea what great people they are individually. They're genuinely great people. I didn't know anything about the fan base, about how loving they are and how they contribute to charities. And it's a whole vibe. I just knew that they were fantastic. And then what has kept the fire alive is the fact that they are such good artists and they work so hard. They didn't get to be how they are just because they just happen to be cute. They happen to be cute, but they're amazing singers, they're amazing dancers, they're amazing songwriters. And they work so hard. And the fact that they had that whole underdog story, no one gave them due respect. I mean, of course, I found it out much later. And I was so mad that I'd missed out 7 years.
That's one of the worst things about things when you're coming onto the bandwagon late and you're like, wow,
And
could
so
have been
now,
a part of this.
what I tell people, because you're not knowing your audience, like you're going to be people who are like, I don't get it, these guys look whatever. But I can say something that people will understand is, and it's not just them, it's the entire team that works for them, whether it's their entire team. They do everything to the nth degree. Like, it inspires me, no matter what I'm doing, if I really care about it, to go as high as they do. Not comparing myself to them in any way, but the fact that they're just the top of the top of the top. There's no one out there that can touch them on any of those levels. And I respect that so much. And then the other thing, and you'll probably cut because it's getting to be too long.
No, I love this. This is fun.
It's a whole big thing, in Korea, all men of a certain age, they have to do their military duty.
Yes.
It is a requirement. And there was a lot of political trash going on around BTS because they were given extensions.
Right.
Now in Korea, if you are a classical musician or a sports figure, you can be exempt from serving in the military because you're considered a national treasure. Interestingly is, BTS created a huge phenomenon in the rest of the world. They are considered Korea's treasure. No one, person or group has ever done more for South Korea in terms of their global awareness and making money than BTS. So there was this whole political football going back and forth. Shall we extend them? What are we going to do? How's that military thing? And the members themselves, they all got together, and as the members, the group, they said, enough. We have decided we're going to do our military career. We're going to do it our way. And they did. Each member fulfilled their entire military commitment, and that's why we haven't seen them in so long. We've seen them as individuals. And to put it in perspective, and I have no shade on Taylor Swift at all. She's amazing. But it'd be like Taylor Swift at the height of her career saying, pause, I'm going to go do my military service for 18 months. You would just never see that in the States. And the fact that they did it on their own terms. They all did extremely well, as I would expect, because what they went through as trainees is nothing compared to basic training. I don't know if you know, but I'm a veteran.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. So, I know something about basic training. I know something about, what I actually served in Korea. So that just gave me even much more respect. So they have such integrity.
But it's always, especially as people who create or people where, in certain fields where there's not always anybody holding you to a standard immediately yourself. Because I think with certain creative things is there's nobody going to tell you to keep rehearsing or keep working until you get on stage. And people say, oh, you should have rehearsed more. So I think that it's really good to have people where you can go, I want to work just as hard as these people. I want to make sure I am, even if I'm not like at the level, there's something that you can shoot for in terms of keeping yourself accountable, making sure that you're working as hard as you possibly can to where whatever you end up is your final product is, that is the best I could have possibly done.
And as you learn, as you get more experience and older, surrounding yourself with people with the same vision. So kind of coming back to fantasy, fantasy's core values. I tell people who aren't too, as familiar with fantasy, it's like, it'll go one of two ways with fantasy the first time you seriously get involved. You'll either love it and everything will jive with you, or you won't, and you won't come back because it's very strong. And we mean that in the best way, right? Like they take their vision and their values very seriously. And if you're not down for that, you're going to be very uncomfortable and you're not going to be happy.
Right.
Now, I personally haven't met anybody where they came in and went, oh, I don't want to be part of something that's inclusive or where everybody is, held to be involved and appreciated and lifted up and surrounded by care and love. I haven't met anybody like that. There probably is somebody like that, and that's sad, right?
Yeah. But it'd be very hard to find that person within fantasy's walls.
Even like a one time coming in and being like, no, it's just way too nice and wonderful here. I better leave. That just doesn't happen.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This is a great conversation. If you ever want to come back, let me know. Fantasy Playhouse Children's Theater Academy is a 501c3 nonprofit located here in Huntsville, Alabama. We've been offering excellence in theater arts since 1961, and we believe in making theater accessible for all. Our 65th season is presented by Redstone Federal Credit Union, with additional support by Alabama State Council on the Arts, Huntsville City Arts and Culture Grant Program, First Horizon Bank, Smart Bank, Rocket City Mom, and Minuteman Press Huntsville. To learn more about our main stage productions, classes and camps, and volunteer opportunities, click the link in the episode description or head over to fantasyplayhouse.org. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the Boulevard.